What's up, everyone? This is Miguel. I am the host of Strategy Rewind, a podcast that focuses on the mindset and strategies needed for a breakthrough moment. I'm so happy that you will be connected here today. We are live on the Wisdom application. We're also streaming on the Strategy Rewind podcast. So grateful that you would be here today. Mercy Ann, thank you so much for being here with me. And those connecting on the Wisdom application, I am driving right now and making sure all my doors are locked and seatbelts are on. I am on the road. We're all on the road. We are all on a journey. And oftentimes we don't hear the signals go off when something needs to be arranged, checked, or needs to be addressed. How many times have you been on the road and you didn't realize that maybe you left the door open or maybe it wasn't shut all the way? How many times have you been on the road and maybe didn't even realize that you need to fill the gas tank and alarm goes off? And it lets you know, hey, you need to address this if you want to make it safely to your destination. Of course, you may be asking yourself, what does this have to do with personal growth? What does this have to do with achieving our goals and personal development? It actually has to do more than what you would think, because oftentimes in our journey, in our pursuit of becoming better people, in our pursuit of accomplishing our goals, there are some alerts or some red flags, as it would be, that let us know, hey, something is happening, something is taking place, and it's supposed to call your attention. Not distract you or deviate you from the road, not distract you or deviate you from your journey, but rather provide an awareness that this indeed is taking place. And if you allow me for just a moment, I'd like to talk to you today about the idea that growth may cause enemies. Growth may cause enemies. We all want to grow. We all want to get better. We all want to do that. But the truth of the matter is that some people have grown complacent. Heck, let's be honest. We all have habits. Some of us have really bad habits. Can we agree on this? Some of us have really bad habits. And some of us are actually attempting to change those bad habits for something good, for something better, and become better people. But just because you decided that 2023 was the year that you were going to change your life, and that was the year that you were going to eat healthier, read more books, educate yourself, start better relationships, love yourself more, maybe stop drinking, stop smoking, stop giving yourself to pornography. Just because this is the year you decided that you were going to change some things in your life doesn't mean that everybody around you is ready for the change. We often think that the moment that we decide to better ourselves, that everyone around us is going to be happy or excited for us, or that they're going to throw some type of parade, confetti's going to drop. That ain't going to be always the case. Sometimes people will celebrate the fact that you want to be better. But sometimes the fact that you want to be better challenges the status quo of your tribe, of your community, of your circle. And when you challenge the status quo, well, it ruffles some feathers. It bothers some people. It rubs individuals the wrong way. Individuals who still have limiting mindset. Individuals who still have a mindset of this is the way things are and they're forever going to be that way. You've got to know this. You also have to know that there may be some people around you that you've just become aware to the fact that they have some toxic traits, that they have some toxic mindset. I don't say they're toxic people, because the fact is that you and I may have been considered toxic people. We may have been considered as people that will never achieve anything. We have been considered as people that will never amount to anything. And I just want you to know that Even if people have put labels on you and have said you're not going to amount to anything, you're toxic, you're dangerous, you're no good, you're a rebel, you're XYZ, despite all of those labels, you can still flip the script and you can decide to go on your hero's journey. And you can decide to make the changes that are necessary for your life. So, no, I don't think there are toxic people, although there are people that accept that label and they act out appropriately to that label. Instead, there are people that have toxic traits, they have a toxic mindset. Their vocabulary, language, and mannerisms are toxic. And sometimes we may not realize this until we decide that we're going to change, until we decide that we're going to do something different. Then we start looking around and saying, wait a minute, I didn't realize all this time that my cousin, my uncle, my sister, my friend, my boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it is, I didn't realize that this person actually has a limiting mindset, actually has some toxic traits. I want you to think about that because so often we are in relationships, so often we are associated to people that right now we don't even realize it, have, again, toxic traits, mindsets, and we don't realize it. And so when we decide that we're going to start growing, when we decide that we're going to start changing, something happens, and it is that enemies are created. Mojo, thank you for being in the room. Lady Storm, Zen Master, Matthew Burrows, thank you so much for being in the room. Click the button if you want to be part of the conversation here on the Wisdom application. We're talking about growth may cause enemies. And I think it's an aspect that oftentimes we don't talk about when we talk about growth. We here's the true thing about it is that growth is often presented to be much sexier than what growth actually is. Right? A lot of times growth is presented to be as this super sexy thing that is, hey, it's going to change your whole life, it's going to make things better, it's going to be phenomenal, everyone's going to love you, you're going to excel, you're going to be prosperous. And yeah, you may get all those things, but it may be through the journey of finding out that the people that you were hanging out with were actually not good for you, were actually enabling you to stay in the same position, weren't actually pushing you to be better, weren't actually encouraging you to do more. You may find along the way. And so when we talk about breakthrough, and I've said breakthrough is that aha moment. It's that moment where your skills and your understanding, your knowledge of something, it all just gels and you're able to put it into practice and actually throw it into a new gear that you didn't even know you had. And now you get into that rhythm. But what we don't often realize is that that breakthrough moment may come on the other side of you being broken. Your mindset's being broken, your habits being broken. Because in order for you and I to be made new, oftentimes we have to be broken. Hey, did you know this? That when the eagle gets to a certain age, the eagle will soar above the clouds. And when it soars above the clouds, it finds for a high mountaintop. And at that mountaintop, what it does is that it plucks its feathers out and it breaks its own beak. And it goes through this process, this transformation process, that when it is ready, it leaves that mountaintop with new feathers and a new beak. And it is stronger, it is much more agile, it is more fierce. So we talk about the fact that we want to have a breakthrough moment, the fact that we want to grow. This is the year, this is the time, this is the season. Hey, I'm rooting for you. I want to see you win. But I also want you to be aware that growth may create enemies. Growth may create enemies. People may not want you to grow. People may not want you to change because there's been people that have been enabling you to stay in the position you are for so long. you may not have realized is that you may have been a crutch for somebody else as well. A reason for them to stay in the position because they looked at you and said, well, if that person's not changing, I'm not changing, then we good. But in the moment you decide to change, it forces them to say, wait a minute, I can't stay in the same place. And oftentimes the way it's presented, the way it's communicated is that the individual will say, oh, you think you're better than me? Oh, now you're changing? Oh, you've changed. Oh, you're different. And they say these things to make us feel sad, make us feel bad, make us feel as though we're doing something bad because we want to grow. And this is what I want you to understand here today, that both may create enemies.